Make of the just to stand in for just a little longer. What do you make of like the anger and the passion and all of that, the firing and the mood swings and the madness, being emotional and all of that. That's Steve, and I guess Elon too. So what is that a bug or a feature?
It's a feature. So there's a graph, which is y-axis productivity.
Yeah.
X-axis at 0 is chaos.
Yeah.
And infinity is complete order.
Yeah.
Right. So as you go from the origin, as you improve order, you improve productivity.
Yeah.
And at some point, productivity peaks, and then it goes back down again. Too much order, nothing can happen.
Yes. But the question is how close to the chaos is that?
No, here's the thing, is once you start moving in the direction of order, the force vector to drive you towards order is unstoppable.
Oh, so it's a slippery.
And every organization will move to the place where their productivity is stymied by order.
So you need
So the question is, who's the counterforce? Like, because it also feels really good. As you get more organized and productivity goes up, the organization feels it. They orient towards it, right? They hire more people. They get more guys who can run process. You get bigger, right? And then inevitably, the organization gets captured by the bureaucracy that manages all the processes. Right. And then humans really like that. And so if you just walk into a room and say, guys, love what you're doing, but I need you to have less order. If you don't have some force behind that, nothing will happen.
I can't tell you on how many levels that's profound. So
that's why I say it's a feature.
Well, that was Jim Keller making the best possible case I think that you can make for why Elon is so critical to the future of Tesla. Does that mean that Tesla won't succeed as a company if Elon were to step down, or if the aliens were to take him back? No, the company would do okay, maybe even great. Look at what happened with Apple, with a manager in control after the untimely death of Steve Jobs. However, this is what Elon brings to the table, in addition to all of the other things I talk about in the Elon Musk method. He has 16 characteristics of leadership and communication and hiring skills that make him amazing. But then on top of that, you have just what Jim Keller described. You have his ability to maintain the chaos, maintain the innovation, keep the companies at the innovative level, keep the companies at the startup level so that they're thinking like startups, not like super mature companies who tend to get bogged down. That seems to have been reinvigorated at Microsoft, which has now caused them to become the #1 most valuable company in the world. Now, I want to go beyond what was just stated on that particular video, and I want to turn now to the source of that video, which is a guy named Bruce Lesord. He goes by DigiBruce on X, and this morning he wrote this article, and he said it this way: yes, attracting great technical talent is necessary if you want to do what Tesla or SpaceX or Neuralink does, but it's not sufficient. Elon's companies kick so much R&D ass, not because they attract all the most brilliant engineers. Now, let me just stop right there. Not just, I would have just changed, I would have added one word. They do attract the most brilliant engineers, and it is important. Elon is a genius at attracting the best engineering talent. The #1 and #2 companies in the world where engineers want to go to work are Tesla and SpaceX, and that just goes back and forth, flips back and forth. If you look in, again, my book, The Elon Musk Method, you can see how that developed, how he became that person early on in his companies and was able to go and get the best talent at any given time. That hasn't changed, but he goes on in the article, he says, not just, I'm adding the word just, not just because they attract all the most brilliant engineers, but because they enable the engineers to do their thing and collaborate effectively without getting stuck in silos and buried in the process. Elon personally, and through some aspects of his management style, may actually be a negative for some of the best technical minds. Not all of them will want to join one of Elon's companies, but anyone who tried to do cutting edge engineer And a big company knows that the large companies directly interfere with making new stuff in new ways. This gets worse and worse as the company scales up and matures. This is partly due to the way incentives and accountability work in the corporate power structure, and partly due to the crystallization and creep of process as companies scale. And then he provides that video for his example. So this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about with regard to the Elon impact. Was the Steve Jobs impact. This is the impact of some of these amazing leaders who come in and keep companies young and exciting, but go through people. They just wear people out. Some people can't make it in that environment. And then there needs to be these massive shakeups like the one we just saw in the case of so many people being fired, but also with the entire the supercharger team being let go. Just, all right, you're gone, you're done, you're out of here. I'm letting all 500 people go. He needed to do a major shakeup in order to get people to wake up. And that's what we're looking at there. What is the point of this particular rant on this particular morning? Well, you have this continuing ongoing debate between the Fred Lamberts and the Ross Gerbers and the Gary Blacks versus the true bulls out there, like myself, who believe in Elon Musk. These other folks are like, oh, I could run the company better than Elon. I need to be on the board of directors. Oh, Elon's doing it all wrong. Why doesn't he do this and that and the other? Now, it's okay to criticize Elon. I got no problem with that. Every single human, there's no human that gets it right all the time. And Elon is going to make mistakes just like the rest of us. The question is, do you learn from your mistakes? Do you move on and make things better in the future because you've learned from the mistake? Or do you keep making the same mistake over and over again? My belief would be based on history. I think we can look at history and know that Elon is the most successful entrepreneur probably in history, certainly at this point in history, as exemplified by the 7 companies, I think it's 7 companies that he's running right now and their successes, as well as the successes of the 2 prior companies that he built his empire on early in his 20s. So we need Elon, okay? Again, the company could run without Elon. I got no question about that. The company would succeed without Elon, but it won't succeed at these levels. So you need Elon to be that energy, that disruptor of just continuously, he talks about it, continuously disrupting his own company. If you don't continuously disrupt what you're already doing, then you will become the company that was described a few minutes ago of getting bogged down in bureaucracy. Jim Keller had it all right. That's exactly what happens. And then you don't have that team that's ready to disrupt what's already working. All right. So what do we got? What are we talking about then? We're talking about how Elon has now just said, look, we're now an AI company. We are specialized in robotics. Part of those robotics are on 4 wheels. And so we have automobiles, we have trucks, we have semi-trucks, we have now some automobiles, some vehicles that are going to be specifically allocated for being robo-taxis. And then we have 2-legged robots that are coming on stream. These are the core elements of our future. This is where the future is. Okay, that's a startup company. This is not a mature company. This is a startup company. Needs to be run like a startup company. So the startup company now has to look at all the components of the existing company. And in some cases, you might have to jettison some of those. You might have to sell them off. You might have to downplay them. You might have to reconfigure them to fit within the new framework. Everything now is based on a completely new way of seeing the future at Tesla. And even Elon Musk didn't know this was going to be true 10 years ago. 10 years ago, he was extremely focused. Everybody said, oh, he's lost his focus. He's no longer interested in fixing the environment. He's no longer interested in reducing CO2 emissions. That focus is no longer what Elon's all about. And that's why I bought the stock. That's why I'm excited about the company. Well, okay, that's fine. You may or may not still be somebody who should be involved in the company. If it's no longer, if it's all about the ecology, if it's all about, saving the world, you may not be the guy. Although I could make the opposite argument. I could say all of this is going to give us the opportunity to be even more likely to change the environment in a way that would make the folks who believe in global warming happy. Because why? Oh, yeah, okay. Because robotaxis are way more efficient than even electric vehicles that are driven only a few hours a day and then stored the rest of the time. Why? Because robots are going to generate massive wealth from at every level of the economy, from the poorest poor person in a third world nation to the wealthiest among us. Everybody is going to become more wealthy as a result of what Optimus is going to do and what all the robots are going to do. That wealth allows civilization, allows humans to stop thinking about where they're going to get their next morsel of food or how they're going to be able to protect their family from the elements. They can get that off of their mind because they have enough wealth to get by and start being able to think about, how can I make my environment better? They become more concerned about making things nicer around them. When you're scrapping for food, you don't care. I'm talking about even poor folks in the inner city that are barely making it by, even if they're better off than they were 50 years ago or 100 years ago. If you're barely making it and it's all about just getting enough money to make sure you can put food on the table, you don't care about the environment. You're not thinking about how the world is going to look in 2100. In fact, I'm going to make the argument that 95, 98% of the population doesn't care how the world is going to look in the year 2100. They care about how the world's going to look next year, maybe. They're probably more interested in how it's going to look this afternoon, because people don't like to look at the future. They're very disinterested in looking at the future. So bring this all back to the beginning argument that I'm trying to make here, is that Elon Musk is very necessary to the future of Tesla if we want it to be all that it could be. We want it to be a robotics company, an AI company that is going to really change the world in ways that couldn't have been imagined 10 years ago, maybe couldn't have been imagined 2 years ago, but now are all of a sudden actually potentially possible. But it's going to need Elon at the helm to get the maximum opportunity out of all of that. That's why we need the vote to happen. That's why you need to vote your shares. If you haven't voted them already, talked about this yesterday, your vote, if you don't vote, it's the equivalent. It's not actually a no vote, but it's the equivalent of a no vote, because this is a situation where you need a certain percentage. You need 50.1% of all of the outstanding shares to vote yes, in order to get the decision to go our way. Moreover, the more folks that vote and the higher percentage that vote yes, that's another big way of saying to the Delaware court, you know what, you got it completely wrong. You just are an idiot. Which I've already spent enough time ranting about what an idiot she is. Okay. All right. I am sorry to say that Larry was unable to join me. A surprise last minute thing came up that he was unable to join. We're trying to reschedule another time because I got a whole bunch of stuff I want to go over with him. But in the meantime, if you thought this was valuable, please hit the like button. If you would like to make sure that you don't miss anything in the future, then subscribe. And then if you subscribe, you know that the notification button is next. And then go down below and potentially join up on Patreon. I do need some additional, it would be extremely helpful. Let's put it this way. If you were able to help produce the show, even if that was only at the $3 a month level, down below, you'll see all the information. Just a quick click like that. You can go onto Patreon and help support the channel. All right. That's all I got for you right now. It's been great talking to you.